Hello, YouTube friends and family. Welcome back to my channel, my intuitive and experiential wisdom. So, I am going to continue my story, Awakening into the Void, and this is part 12. So, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy. So, where I last left off, I had just taken a hit of salvia. And salvia is an herb. It's a psychedelic plant, and I believe it's Salvia divinorum. I think. I am still learning a lot about plants, so I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn. I'm just a baby in the plant world, you know. And I didn't even know what it was when I tried it at the time. So we'll just call it salvia from the smoke shop. So I tried this salvia, and I just took off because I smoked it out of a bong, out of a water pipe, if you want to be more politically correct. And I took off. And I think I like blacked out for like the first few minutes of it, and then when I came to, I was like in this cubic dimension. How I can recollect it to be was like I was inside of a Rubik's cube, and it wasn't the colors of what we're used to of Rubik's Cube being like, you know, the yellow, white, red, green, blue, those basic colors. Maybe there's orange in there, I don't know. But they were like these colors, like purples and pinks and turquoise and neons and stuff like that. It was mostly like purples and pinks and oranges, like that, those colors right there. And so I was like, what? Like, I'm in this space that's like, and it was crazy because like the walls were clear, so it's like you could see through each cube, you know. And so I'm just like in this cube, and my friends in real life, you know, think that I'm having an episode, because when I took that hit, it actually was like almost like suffocating me, and I was almost like a zombie in my bed, just looking like I couldn't breathe. And so my friends, they ran to my rescue, trying to, you know, bring me back to reality, you know, snap me out of it. And while I was in my journey, I could hear them calling to me, but the way I perceived it while I was in the cube was that they were playing a game with me, and that they were somewhere in the cube and I had to find them. And so when they're calling to me, I'm just like, oh my God, I can hear you, but I can't find you. And I hear like some sort of clapping, or I get like a sense or intuition that I have to clap, and by clapping it shifts the whole cube, like, and it's like the clapping, it's like flipping of pages. So it's almost like all these different possibilities or probabilities that flash before you, and like, and then switch into the next box, you know. And so every time I clapped, it would almost make like this like shuffling of the cards, you know, and the cube would shift, you know, and I'm just looking for them and just like enjoying the game and laughing and having so much fun. And mind you, I'm still in this journey slash trip slash the salvia took me out and I'm still out. So I am still there, and it gets to a point where something happens, and I'm, you know, I think I get tired of the game, and And all of a sudden, I feel myself merging with the cube, and it's as if I was going to flatten or become just like this, just a part of the, like merging with this dimension. I could feel myself becoming almost like a piece of paper. And I remember yelling, like, no, I don't want to stay here. Like, I don't want to, become part of this thing. And my sister, my friend, who were still trying to snap me out of my experience, each of them grabbed one of my arms, pulled me up off of my bed, and somehow it like, them doing that pulled me out of the cube. And then I would, like, came back to reality, came to. And when I did come to, I was blown away. I was completely blown away. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what just happened? What just happened? I can't register what just happened. Like, it just blew my mind. I've always been into, like, dabbling with psychedelics, usually mostly mushrooms. And at that point, I had already tried acid. And so, and they're both, like, wavy and, like, groovy, but I've never quite taken enough to take me there, And for this trickster medicine, herb, whatever you want to call it, to smoke that, and I completely leave this planet, this dimension, this reality, that was like that opened, that was like mind blown, like, I need to have more of that. It was scary to a degree because it's like, you completely lose control. You're no longer, it's like ego gone. I mean, I wouldn't even know that that's what that was at the time. But it was powerful. It was powerful. It changed me. It absolutely changed me, because now I'm thinking in my mind, how did that happen? Like, how did my whole entire being experience something? Like, are our minds that powerful? And I wasn't here no more. I wasn't in this space. Like, it was just like, now there's another mystery to chase, It's like further down the rabbit hole. So the tapping was kind of, like digging a little bit, and then that experience was just like face dive right into the rabbit hole of the mysteries of life and existence. And what is this all about? Why did that happen? And why is this even how come you can buy this at the store? Like, that's crazy, In the wrong hands, it'll be dangerous. I've heard about a lot of people having really terrifying experiences with that herb. So I was quite lucky that my experience was terrifying for people on the outside of me, but for me it was fun, and it was just mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. So I had that experience, and it shook me, like, it really did shake me. And I still ignored the fact that I was hanging around people who were willing to give me substances, or, try to trick me into doing things that could be harmful to me. And obviously, I am fully responsible in the choices that I make. I am a adult. I was an adult then, and I have to be accountable for the choices that I make. But the biggest one is, hanging around people who didn't have my best interest at heart. And it was a hard lesson to learn, and it's still a lesson to this day that I have to, review. Review the people that I have in my life, or kind of take stock on that. So that experience really just blew my mind, and it made me thirsty. Like, it made me like really curious, and just I wanted to know more about that kind of stuff. And I didn't really know who to talk to about it. But I did have my friends there, and we could talk about it in whatever way we could, but I still didn't have a deep understanding of what that experience was, but I was glad I had it. And around this time, the stress of the job that I had was starting to get the best of me. I couldn't take it anymore. And I had another drug experience with some friends. Again, bought something at the store. Does anybody remember what bath salts were? Well, before the incident in Florida where a man allegedly bit someone's face off because he was high off bath salts, friends of mine and I got together and we decided to try them. And one of our friends, who happens to be very, I would call like more of a square type, at least that's what we thought, she was the one who convinced my group of friends to try this stuff. And again, you can buy it at the store, so at the smoke shop. So we thought, what's the harm? It can't be that bad if you can buy it at the store, right? So we tried it, and it was you can like put it in your drink, or you can snort it, you can put it under your tongue, however you want to take it. And we drank ours, and it's basically like Energizer, just like makes you feel like super excited and super talkative and super energetic and social and all of these things. So me and my girlfriends we were on a roll, having a great time, and we decided to play dress up and have a fashion show. And at one point, it's just like turned weird. It was like, and we all started feeling weird. We all started kind of looking at each other like, what is going on? And then we just started sinking further and further and just feeling like bad and worse, and until we can't even move, and just like, it's like the pain in our bodies and the depression that we felt was so immense and so debilitating, like so oppressive. I've never felt so low in my life from his substance, and I felt like in a sunken place for 2 days straight. And some of my friends had to work that next day, and I don't know how they survived that, because there was no way I would have been able to go to work that next day. But these kinds of actions, that too was, on top of the drinking and just the negative behavior that is moving completely in the opposite direction of my heart's desires and the goals and the dreams and the aspirations that I want in my life. Toxic work environment, unhealthy friendships, unhealthy living circumstances, unhealthy lifestyle, and eating habits. And I finally reached my boiling point, and I realized that the job, more than anything, was making me absolutely miserable. Absolutely miserable. It's like I couldn't deny it anymore. I'd been trying to convince myself that I needed this job because I still want to travel, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And on top of all the things that I wanted to do, I worked at a fashion warehouse, and what the problem with that was that it really triggered my shopping addiction. And so I would make so much money and then spend it on clothes that I didn't need. And often we acquire a shopping addiction to fill a void. Um, we feel enough when we have something that makes us look pretty. We feel enough when we have that pretty couch. We feel enough when we have that beautiful dish set, even though we already have four. And it's a never ending cycle, because obviously that material thing is not filling that void, so you have to keep getting more to try to fill that void. And that became so apparent for me at the workspace, that I was spending a lot of the money that I was making on clothes that weren't even making me happy, on a style that wasn't even me. I fell in line with everybody else. I became a sheeple, just like everyone else at the warehouse. And in that same dialogue of, boyfriend and married and puppy and all that, like, what? That, does everybody really want that? I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, maybe I'm weird. Okay. So I reached my boiling point, and I remember, my lease was about to be up. I remember my mom and I were going on a trip, and I just start breaking down to her. I'm like, Mom, I can't do this job anymore. Like, I can't do it. It's killing me. I didn't feel valued. I didn't feel seen. I always felt like my job was at risk. Like, if I made the wrong move, that I could be unceremoniously let go. I always felt on edge with that job. And it was hurting my spirit. It was hurting my whole existence. And I think with the Salvia, it kind of gave me a glimpse into a whole new world. And the tapping was releasing emotions for me. So it's like I could no longer lie to myself. I could no longer be in that state of cognitive dissonance and accept the life that I was living. And so I was breaking down to my mom, telling her I couldn't do this job anymore. And she didn't understand, because she's in a practical mindset, like, you obviously have to work, and that's the societal program that we hear and that we all agree on, is that you have to work, you have to have a job, and sure, obviously, I guess, to pay your bills and do the things you need to do, eat, put a roof over your head. But I was pleading to her that I needed her support in that moment, because I knew I could not do the job anymore, and I didn't know what I was going to do next, but I knew I could not do that job any longer. And she really could not empathize with me in that moment, and she just kind of looked at me as if I needed to pull it together. And I don't fault her for that, but it was just difficult to receive that at that time, because what I needed at that time was to be seen and heard. And so I, again, for the umpteenth time, ignored my feelings and went back to work that following Monday. And as soon as I got to work, there was, I get an email from one of the managers or something, and it's just some BS. It's some garbage stuff I don't care about, but it was it was drama, basically. It was a bunch of drama, And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was so minute, but it was like, you know, twitching eye, cracked face, you know, the pressure boiler or the pressure cooker is like, you know, steaming pot, all the things. Like I had reached my limit. And I had two choices. I was like, okay, I could go up to the front and go off on the managers, go off on my own, on the boss, like just everybody, and just lose it and then walk out. And I was like, or I could just walk out, you know. And I got in touch with one of my friends, let her know, you know, I'm like so close from walking out of this job. I'm miserable. I don't like what's going on. And she said to me, she said, you know, Symbala, if you need to walk out of your job, you should walk out of your job. And so that was like the confirmation that I needed. I was like, all right. So I got all my things together, shut my computer down, deleted whatever I needed to delete, and I walked myself home. Emailed them as soon as I got home, let them know the hour and time that I left, that I quit, and I never stepped foot into that place again. And from that point, it began a whole other journey for me. Back into the sunken place, back into the void, back into my depression, back into my inability to see my light. But that's where I began to grow again into the person that I am blossoming to be today. So, on that note, thank you again for joining me for my story, and I hope you enjoyed part 12, and I am excited to share the next part with you, and I hope you come back to join me for more. On that note, have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all soon.